Very good. We go on to the NDC panel. I will very quickly introduce who's up here because I want to hear from them instead of from me. We, of course, I'll go through them and then you will come up at the same time, yeah? We will have Johannes from Lufthansa. He's already been introduced. You know him. He's going to be back on stage. We will have Pedro from... no, wait, Johannes, to everybody's... it makes it easier. We'll have Pedro from Amadeus, Pedro Figar, who's been with Amadeus since 2016, and been a number of different positions: business strategy, organization, commercial strategy. He's a strategist, but also operations for distribution business. And since 23, he's led the customer success for regional travel sellers, supporting OTAs and tour operators and networks and TMCs, including this wonderful network here. And he's also been a management consultant, so he knows how to charge for his time, so we value his time that he comes here as well. We will have Tom Fecke, who you all know from Sabre. He's been in the industry quite some time and had many different roles also in other parts of other GDSs. Travelport. Avis he's worked with as well. He's been on the cruise lines, he's been at sea, and also run associations for cruise lines as well, and also been managing director of the Travel Industry Club, which is a leading business club in Germany and Austria. So he likes to get involved, he likes to get around, he has a very deep knowledge. And now, since 18, he was first director of strategic sales of Sabre, and now, since July 20, he is regional director of Central Europe and managing director Sabre for Germany. We also welcome to the stage Thomas Schillinger, who is the new business development at Travelport. He's been for many years with Avia Reps, for those who don't know, one of the main global airline GSAs. Most recently as Managing Director of Aviation for Germany. He is now Development Manager at Travelport, who is responsible for all the commercial efforts in the gas countries, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. He's really into the consultative approach into this. So he has I won't go through his slogan, he can give that himself. But certainly knows a lot about this industry, both from the airline and from the distribution. And then, believe it or not, we have an agent. So we have Jay Ellenby, who is joining us from Safe Harbors Business Travel, and great that he's joining us from the US, from Maryland. Long association with the industry, very much a respected and known industry leader in the US. Very high, known for very high customer service and high level of technology, really understands what goes on. He's also himself, as we see so many others, involving himself in helping the industry forward, and has had many industry board positions, including with ASTA, the American Society of Travel Advisors, and involved in many non-profits and other associations. Let us welcome the panel to the stage. And if you sit yourself in the same direction as it's listed on the pictures up there, that makes my life so much easier. And Anke, if you can give me 40 minutes on the clock, that would be great. Fantastic. Okay, that would be great if I could have that. Good. Yeah, I need that table over here, if I can. I need the table. Let's go. So welcome, guys. I don't know where the ladies are in the GDS industry, but that's not the question I'm going to ask you. I think I'm going to give you all just a chance to, you heard a lot of stuff this morning from different people. Thank you so much. From different people. I think I'll give you a chance to either respond to what you've heard or give us a quick update just to get you your voice loosened up. A quick update as to where you see, from your company point of view, the whole NDC development going. And why don't we start, Pedro? Yeah, you have the mic.
Sure. So again, I'm trying to encapsulate a little bit the discussion so far. The Amadeus positioning, the vision is making travel better. And I think in the first part of today's morning, it's very clearly the need for the airline retailing to improve. And that's what customer need. It's the Amazon kind of vision, for sure. So I think we all agree on that. The problem comes, or the need comes, when this cannot come at the expense of the operational efficiency of the rest. Because then what we gain with the traveler here, we will lose here. And this is the balance. This is what we are juggling. This is, as GDS, the complexity, the burden that we are there for, and that's our job. But we need a holistic, we need an ecosystem kind of push. We need everyone to jump in.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough. I'm going to jump, Ernst, because you've already spoken. Tom, any observations until now?
Absolutely. So first of all, good morning, everybody. So, John, I'm delighted to be here. And David, what a speech. So that was brilliant, just to make sure that everybody understands the complexity of the new world, I would say. And I'm very happy that you still love the GDSs. So the likelihood that we have a beer tonight is very high. So I love that. When it comes to initiatives that we're currently doing, because GDS has a long history, kind of old legacy. So we have to evolve ourselves as well and to change. So our focus is AI, our focus is ESG, and when it comes to NDC, we put all of our efforts to make it happen. So currently we have run about 20 airlines live. But my criticism would be that I think we still have a lot of fragmentation of content in the marketplace, which makes it very, very difficult also for agents to consume the right content through the right pipe and through the right channel. So I think this is something we would need to address, and this is also base of the discussions, Johannes, with various airlines that we're having. So we totally respect that you try to push your channels as well, but I think we have to bear in mind that we have to make this complexity easier for agents to use and to consume.
Okay, so you're fighting the agents' battle.
Well, literally we're there. I mean, we are B2B business-led, right? So of course it's in our interest to make, bookings and content sourcing as easy as possible for everybody.
Okay. Now, you're the lone agent, and we will have, of course, a breakout later on where we will talk about practical elements of how agents can convert to NDC. I should also have mentioned, by the way, that David also has a breakout later on about data mining. So there's two great breakouts. You have a difficult choice this afternoon. But you're the lone agent up here. Do you feel that GDSs are battling on your behalf? Or let us hear your experiences, especially from the US markets, on the introduction of NDC.
Good morning, everybody. That's quite a set of questions. Are they battling on our behalf? I'll address that. So thank you for having me on the panel. I do appreciate this. I have to admit, I had to take a deep breath when I heard some of the conversation this morning. I had to walk out and really get my mind right. And I couldn't figure out how to get outside those doors, where the pull or push. So somebody help me. So thank you very much for doing that.
There's a new standard being developed for that. It will be there until 12 years.
So that was part of the challenge this morning. But there are a number of things that I found rather disturbing this morning from some of the conversation. Do I feel that the GDSs are battling on our behalf? To a point, yes, I do agree. I do agree to an extent. However, I do remember, and I'm going to speak on a U.S. perspective only. We have spent quite a bit of time when it was first announced, American Airlines, I'll speak specifically to that, when they announced back in November of 22 that they were going to be NDC in April 1 of 2023, and 40% of the content would be removed. of Edifact content. So trying to figure out everything, what was about, we communicated with many of you out there. We wanted to understand the European perspective and understand how it was operating. So we wanted to get some real deep dive into this. And it was very, very helpful. Of course, we know where American is today. They made it personal when they then attacked the frequent flyer programs of just a year later. So to answer your question, John, it's yes, I do believe the GDSs are fighting on our behalf, just not quick enough. Right now, well, it's gotten to the point, it takes 4 times as long to do an NDC transaction. Servicing them is very, very difficult. Very difficult, as we all know. Exchanges, changes, makes it a real challenge. And we do have a relatively high percentage of NDC transactions, but the complexities, and let's talk about the online booking tools. We use Concur, which is over 70% of the market share in the US market. They're not there. They're introducing T2, and it's far, far from ready. So there's some real challenges.
So let me just have one follow-up to you that, that we talked about earlier that, with Johannes, that there's no, the customer doesn't know when he's been booked on an NDC or a legacy booking or whatever it might be. But if it takes 4 times as long, and you're today now charging for your time, does the customer have to pay for this?
Very good question. We've had many, many conversations with our clients, town hall meetings and so on. Initially, our clients did not want to participate in NDC. They were not ready until it was fully built out, which essentially it really is not, at least in the US market. So they chose not to participate, and we observed that. As things evolved, we then saw that obviously there were some benefits. We had continued conversation. To answer your question, are we charging additional? No, we're not charging additional. So yes, it is a profitability issue.
Okay. Thomas, you've
Yes,
heard a
sir.
lot. You've heard a lot already. I don't know if you want to comment on any what's been said, or just give us the viewpoint from Travelport.
Yeah, maybe our take or my take, and I think it's the take of all of us here. At the end of the day, it's about the customer. Be the customer the travel agent, be the customer your customer, so the end consumer. And we have to make sure on each level that we provide the content and the retailing methodology that is needed for the respective customer type. And I think, and we have heard a lot about the GDSs now, we are all developing, and we have to develop further from a content distributing platform, maybe, that we have heard, into a full travel retailing platform. So not being a pipeline for content, but being a platform to use with enhanced and rich content and all the content that is there. And maybe just as a last point, NDC, at the end of the day, is just another content source that we have to facilitate. Nobody should be afraid of it, nor are we, nor should we. We just have to make sure that we get it in the right way, we provide it in the correct way, and that you can use it in the best possible way, so that your customers, again, can benefit from that. So it should be a common effort without finger pointing. We all have to move to this together.
So the GDS is you're sort of working together without accusing anyone of collusion, because you can't do that, but your objectives are the same.
I do hope so, yes.
Which is very unusual to see that Amadeus and Sabre and Travelport has the same objectives, but that's the case.
If the DNA is to work for the customer, and if the customer for us is the person who books, regardless if it's an agent or the end consumer, then that should be the right direction to move.
But that's sort of a headline, that's sort of an overall strategy that you're always there for the customer. Yeah,
Right.
but here you are, your objectives of introducing, and how do you answer Jay's, the one, that it takes 4 times longer, and 2, I was interested, he said he gave the customers the choice, and they initially decided not to go with NDC. Do they really have a choice? I mean, because there might be limitations to what is offered through the GDS if they don't go with NDC.
I think we have heard it before from David, I guess, Yata. It takes time. And if you want to do it well and right, you have to make sure that it is fully serviceable. And when you provide it, the content, it has to be serviceable at the end as well, not only in the front. So we have to give ourselves the time as well in order to provide it the right way. But it started 15 years ago, as you mentioned before here on stage. It should not take as long to provide it in the right way. And I think there are nuances per provider as well that make it easier or a bit more difficult to implement it in the right way.
I mean, AI, which is a much more complex industry, of course, it's been around for a long time, but it's only really been really around the last couple of years, and it's already boom all over. It didn't take that long time to get there, but let's and of course, if you want to ever come in and comment, David, we will give you the chance. You know, you maybe should have been up here as well, but it would be very big. I just want to hear from Johannes, you know, in terms of what you heard here. I mean, do you agree with what is being said here?
Before I would have one. Is my mic on?
Can we get the mic on?
Can you just?
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
it.
Just wanted to ask into the room. Can you show me your hand? Who took a non-stop flight here to Oporto?
Who came non-stop?
And who had to change at least one time? So what's the score, you'd say?
60-40 is changing.
60-40. So just to David's point, I came on EasyJet, by the way, from Toulouse, because that was the most sustainable version. But it wouldn't work, right? We need a standard as an industry, because we need to speak with each other. The industry is far too fragmented in a way. Our own API for Lufthansa Group that differs us from competitors caters to more than 6 different airline brands. And we're waiting for the EU Commission to give us the 6th, right? So basically, it's all about making sure, and it's a different story than in the US, right? You have a very consolidated market, but here it's very fragmented. So it's very important, I think, that we have a joint way forward, and we have a standard for how we speak with each other and communicate and create these rich offerings. And then, of course, and it's very much true, no? I think we were one of the initial shareholders of Amadeus, and very much like American was of Sabre. So I mean, we created you guys in a sense, right? Because we wanted to solve our distribution issues in the first instance, and it worked very well for a very long time, and it still works very well. But if we want to move ahead, I think we have to be also ready to completely change that tech stack, no? And we saw in David's presentation there are ways to do that. There are a lot of other aggregators that are not on the panel today that are solving for that and that are changing that role from a GDS to an aggregator, right? And I think that's also comes with a different self-understanding potentially, right? And a different role in the value chain. And we are live on Concur with Siemens. It's one of our largest customers. Cater to 100,000 of Siemensianas who don't know that they're traveling on the sea, thankfully, and we've got their duty of care sorted out, we've got their reporting sorted out, we've got their mid-back office data feed sorted out. But it takes a lot of effort. It takes, and that's, I think, also to come to your question on the team. When I was leading digital retailing, out of my 120 people, more than 60% of the leadership team was female. So it's not representative of that round. That's different to the, and that brings a lot of innovation to have these people really trying to solve things. But you need to work together, right? If you have Siemens, you have to get BCD, you have to get Travel Fusion, you have to get your Concur people, you have the Siemens people, and you have the Lufthansa Group people, and then you sit together and you solve for every single of these problems, right? And that's the way it works, and we create these blueprints. And we're then scaling them up for other corporates that have a similar setup now in the corporate space. And last sentence, you've got a lot of new players out there, right, that don't inherit the legacy tech stack. And they've started from scratch, right? So we've got a lot of business travel agencies, I don't know, the Travel Perks of this world, the Navans, the Spotnanas, the Lanes and Planes, you name them, who are on a 75% plus NDC share, right? Because they don't understand the topic with servicing, with, you know, how to open a door, yeah? That things are known, right? Because they've not been trained on cryptic, they've been trained on graphic from the very first day of work, right? So it's a different way of working, and I think eventually we'll get there.
Well, new players can reinvent. I mean, we all remember when the legacy carriers were suddenly, you got the low-cost carriers and whatever we might think. I mean, you flew EasyJet and then, you know, whatever think. They forced the legacy carriers to rethink the whole strategy, and then so that's. Pedro had a comment.
No, I think Johannes is right. No, so homogenization. No, it's one of the big pain points. No, and Thomas, myself, we were laughing just outside There are 73 airlines, of course, on NDC. They use 8 different versions of NDC, and in that different version, even the Altea Airlines, which is our PSS, they do it differently. And then it comes to Jay, that for a change or for a cancellation, has to cover, I don't know, 20 different ways of doing the exact same action. So just to pinpoint a bit of an example, although you know it better than I do, what this means. No?
Okay, there's a question from the audience which relates very much to some of my own questions, which, you know, it's been written that NDC stands for never date a colleague. But really the question is about bypassing. And of course, I don't think there was any doubt, at least when NDC was launched, that it was initially a GDS bypass. Now it's very much a collaborative and a cooperative effort with the GDSs. I think we can state that much. But it was also to some extent a travel agent bypass. You know, the more the airlines could promote all of their different wares themselves, they didn't need the travel agents to just sell airlines through the airline and sell hotels and all the other ancillary services if the airlines could do that themselves. Where are we today in this? Do any of you see NDC as a threat to GDSs or a threat to travel agents? Tom?
Yeah, so I clearly don't see NDC as a threat to GDSs. Why has NDC been established? Because it provides choice to the customer. So it's a clear differentiating point for airlines to make a rich offer, which is fantastic. And for the end consumer, it doesn't mean anything if he's booking on EDIFACT or NDC. So I think it really nails down to the commercial models that are existing. So with airlines, and that's maybe the point that it takes long, because number one, we discussed the technological interface, number one, and number two, it's the commercials. So there are different commercials by airlines. So there are public channels, there's a public commercial, there's a bilateral commercial, there are supplements on it. So it's definitely not a risk to GDSs, but I think in fairness, I wish, and I talk for Sabre, I wish that the content would be richer on NDC in the GDSs. And that's why content fragmentation is an issue in the marketplace, because then the complexity doesn't go down, it gets up. That's my take.
You only get one chance to make a first impression. Jay?
Again, given from the U.S. perspective, no, we do not see it as a threat. Not at all. We're fully in favor of NDC. However, used NDC not date your colleagues. We actually, it's commonly called in the U.S. as not done correctly. And it wasn't. It has not been done correctly. We do not see it as a threat. It can be done correctly. It can be done efficiently. I mentioned already 4 to 1 and how often, what it takes to get a transaction done. We've put a lot of new processes in place. You know, with the American, how they pull back, it has given us a chance to regroup and take a look at our tech offering. We've put a lot of patches and a lot of different pieces in place and brought in a lot of new technologies and new process. So to further develop this, we absolutely look forward to moving forward with NDC. And let's face it, I know I'm surrounded by GDS here, but we've been working with 60-year-old technology, green screen technology, that I am very, very happy that we can be moving to a more of a point-and-click environment because, yes, our workforce is aging. It is aging out, and we need point-and-click technology to further develop and bring in. You know, when we have somebody who's coming in 20, 25, 30 years old and then looking at a green screen, doesn't work anymore. And so we're very, very happy about that evolution. So, no, it's good. We're here for it. But there's a way to do it correctly, not as being forced by American Airlines, where they took the hammer versus the carrot approach.
Just as a follow-up, the question which is related to you, but also to others, so it's a question relating to how can we communicate all this to our clients, and you've already given some that you're very open, have town halls and so on with your clients. But the agents are the messengers. I'm quoting from the questions here. And they are representing the airlines and the GDSs and so on, because the clients don't know what goes on. I mean, to some extent, agents have always done better when life is more complex, because that gives the agent a reason to say, you need us, because it's so complex out there. And with all the different, you mentioned 8 different airline systems and so on. The whole idea was to have one same standard, and everybody, it should be very easy to go. So how do you see this communication going on to the clients? Have you got some ideas? And we'll talk more about it in the breakout as well, but about how can we communicate this to the clients?
Yeah, when this first came out, the clients had no idea, and why should they? As far as they're concerned, they wanted to get a fare. They wanted to get a fare that was the best fare possible. Whether it was NDC, whether it was EDIFACT, it really did not matter. Whether it was a web fare, it does not matter. Our communication with our clients were with the upper management and so on, and then they were bought into the strategy. We put the options in front of them. Travelers started seeing it as any time. They go out to the web and they could see their lower fares and so on. So it's continued communication. And again, as I mentioned, when American introduced, now we're going to impact your frequent flyer points, that's when it got personal, and that's when the rubber hit the road. That's when they understood what the issues were. So when it hit them personally. And so continued communication. We're constantly communicating with them, letting them know what is taking place, educating them in the process, and truly the advantages that are available too.
Okay, let me just quote, David has kindly contributed to the debate, so let me just quote from David a couple of points. Electronic ticketing, which was just a facsimile of a paper ticket, took nearly 20 years from concept to 100% acceptance, and was only achieved with a mandate. If every airline had their own API standard, then agents would have to navigate each one. I highlighted that agents complain that every airline implements NDC differently. Imagine the differences if they use their own proprietary standard. So basically what you're saying is there will be a standard, there will be small variations, but if everybody went their own way to do it, then I'm not sure that the fact that another system took 20 years is a glowing example of how we should introduce new technology, because there are other industries that can introduce technology faster than that, maybe we should see, but it's taken time, and we have to accept that, and we are getting there. There's a question about cost. Because, of course, also one of the things that came into it was that the airlines did not like paying the GDSs the amount of money they paid for distribution. And, of course, some of that money then was passed from the GDSs to the agents who actually generated the money because they pressed the button that caused the booking, that made the payment happen from the airline to GDS. This questioner says, I think NDC should be available on all GDSs, and airlines must continue to pay the GDSs, and GDSs must continue to pay the agencies. Is that going to happen, Thomas?
Well, the question is directed, I think, to the airlines, because we are the ones who are facilitating it. We are doing, you said it, Pedro, and we talked about it outside. We are doing, and we should be doing, the heavy lifting here. This is our work. And if there is 8 different sources and how many airlines, it doesn't matter. Our job is to bring it to the market and to bring it the best possible way so you can service it, not 4-to-1, 1-to-1. Best case is 0-to-0, so that there is no exchanges needed. But the commercials from airlines to GDSs is above my pay grade to talk about, and certainly not I'm the one paying it, I'm the one receiving it as a GDS, so maybe the airline can also influence on that.
Okay, you're the one paying it, so
talking about timelines and commercials. No, I think 2004, which is 20 years ago, we changed the model from wholesale to agent on behalf of the customer, and that of course implies that there is a certain money flow also coming from a customer who enjoys a service to the agent that acts on his or her behalf, and from our perspective, that is just a logical continuation. And we've been very transparent from the very launch of the distribution cost charge in 2015, and now we've even got it differentiated between you guys, right? So you can fully see what is the money in the system. And my conviction is that actually the proof is, why is this moving so slow? That, and that's also, I'm saying this as the chairman of the supervisory board for the Lufthansa City Centers International, that you create a lot of value for your customers. And yes, do I believe you should commercialize that? Absolutely. So if there is a value that you add, and with Lufthansa we've never waived a fee, right? So it's out there, it's very transparent. So there's a lot of money to play with in a new commercial model and in the setup to make sure that in the end actually everybody benefits. And if we are at the same time able to cater to better offerings that again increase the pie, yeah, happiness to pay, then of course I think the question of money flows will also be easier to solve. Yeah? But of course, I mean, at least for the airlines, looking at the last quarter results, not the same for all the GDSs, but for the airlines and for the agents, we know we operate at single-digit margins, right? So I mean, to be very transparent, it's very clear that there is value in this value chain, that the customers appreciate every single contribution. And now the question is, how do we make it? How do we make this more transparent? And as travel agencies, how do we sell the value that we add to our customers even better? Because I understand that there is a willingness to pay out there and even a happiness to pay. I'm 100% convinced of this.
Pedro, Tom, is it under your pay grade or above your pay grade to answer the question here in terms of what do you predict? What do you think will happen?
Yeah, I think from a commercial perspective, it's a mix of what airlines are paying for NDC content and on EDIFACT content. So it's a total mix. And I totally understand that everybody is under cost constraints. It's a lot of pressure on costs, distribution costs, that for sure. But also, what we hear is that even agents are willing to accept an agency pay model in order to have one source of content. So that shows that agents are really focusing on to have not too many aggregators and too many channels. They want to have one source of content, and that's where we are right now. I mean, it's a discussion we're having with all the various airlines, and that's why the process maybe takes very long, because we're advocating, you know, the content sourcing for agents, pretty much though, but that's where we are in right now, and we have to deal with it.
So maybe on not on the commercials, but hello. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. So not talking commercials, but talking value, no? Which it's easier, let's say, you know, and it's frictionless. There is an IT cost, no, that these gentlemen also bear in terms of operating, no, and now building the new systems, no. This IT cost is not in David's presentation, no, in terms of okay, how much IT cost for airlines and for travel agencies comes with it, okay. And now that on NDC we're going at scale, hopefully. Search at scale, for example. No, we've been the shields of the whole transactions, no, hitting the airlines. Now this will become a problem. Will become a problem for us. Will become a problem as well for the airlines. So, again, going back to the value, there's inherent value in a layer, no, that aggregates, that is that kind of source, and that bears the operational efficiency. No, going back to the strategy, this is a marketplace. You have a large number of airlines, a large number of travel agencies. You need a layer in between. And if you rationalize, no, the engineer in me would optimize, you can only have a limited number of those aggregators, making them come together. That's the only efficient. And that's why indirect distribution, which is GDS and travel agencies, is that efficient.
So I want to ask Jay, and without revealing too many commercial secrets, how important is the GDS contribution to your bottom line?
It's very important. It's something that's been on our model. You know, let's face it. Over the years, we know. Let's put it. We're a resilient group. There's no doubt about it. I look at our industry, and I know we've all looked at our industry. It's a whack-a-mole industry. Yeah. There's one issue, fine. There's another issue, fine. You deal with it, you move on. Now we know as our profitability, we know what our revenue streams are. You know, certainly our commissions, air commissions, hotel commissions, car commissions, and then you have GDS commissions. You have so many different avenues. Is it a chunk that would impact us? Absolutely, absolutely. But as everything else, we're resilient, and we've understood how to work our models.
Okay.
I think, John, if I may.
Yes,
So,
sure.
looking into the future, I think one offer, one order is the thing. I think you just mentioned that you're on your path up until 2030. Because I think also one of the big cost elements is how long does it take to make a booking, to fulfill, and to service. So I think with one order and one offer, this will totally change. So I think you have to look on cost sides and also revenue from different angles on that one. So I think one order is the big thing that's happening for all of us, for you airlines and also for the GDSs.
And maybe at least the hope that I have with regards to one order is, first of all, we will learn from the mistakes we made in the early days of NDC, and I'm not saying we didn't make any, right? And it was a difficult situation, how you start the movement, and how do you get everybody aligned, and how we're finally moving to that standard. But offer, and I showed the 2.5 billion that we invest into new aircraft just in the next few months, we want to differentiate ourselves. We want to have different seats than American and the other guys, right? So we offer is much more tricky because anyways we are bound to, I think 2 aircraft manufacturers more or less left, right? So there's not so much you can do in our industry. So servicing and offer will be the key differentiator. Continuous pricing, all that stuff. It's a competition on who does it actually better. But order is more, it's really the fulfillment. It's just making it happen. So I think bringing that together faster, which is why we're part of the consortium that you showed, David, I'm very optimistic, whilst it is an open heart surgery, right, for us, because it touches, I don't know, how many hundreds of interfaces and systems. So we have a long way to go, but we are getting started, and we're definitely confident that will be less friction in the end than with NDC, because it's really less of a competitive edge. It's just it's a stock-taking engine in the end, right?
We're getting close to the end. There's a question, maybe it's for Tom directed, but anyone can answer. But which is what's the advice whether we keep on developing NDC platform or waiting and totally relying on GDS to support it in the long run? If the answer is on relying on GDS, are you able to promise to implement the NDC content in line with airlines distribution on its website?
The only thing I can say is we're fighting hard for this. We're really fighting hard in order to get maximum content as we can do. We're talking about the green screen, so I think this time is over. So I think if you use Sabre native, it's easier. I think for us, it's being part either on a native side or an API side. So we do everything we can to get maximum content in it.
Okay, I mean it's a very difficult life for a travel agent to know what's going to happen. Obviously, if there's not full content, then it's obviously an agent bypass exercise. I mean, that's quite clear.
And I would say that also you guys, you have power. I mean, we have an example of one airline on the other side of the pond that tried the extreme. So you guys, in inverted commas, you made the change because it's up on you how to use the respective channels. So this also puts a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah, but those of us with good memories remember that when there was a thing called commissions, and when it went away, they tried it first, and then they said, oh, not everybody's following, let's take it back. And they tried it a second time, and they didn't follow, and they took it back. Third time, other airlines came in with them, and commissions disappeared, and with the model changed, and maybe for the better. We're not going to enter that discussion, but they're testing the marketplace.
Yeah, but commission is a different discussion because when it comes to content and channels, there's far more complexity. It's mid-office, it's back-office, it's this what really needs to be addressed. So I think this is a different discussion.
Okay, we are running out of time, so I just want a sort of quick answer from all of you. Is NDC the future? I'm sure all you will say yes. That's not a difficult question. Is it part of the future, or is it going to go down already before it peaks because alternatives will come up to either NDC or other forms of distribution that will come and overtake it? So I think we'll start from this end this time. So, Thomas.
Yes, yes, and yes. It is the future and especially in terms of personalization and individualization. Will it be bypassed by perhaps new technologies or other? I just heard one order is a topic that we even touched up here. Question mark. But I do think it's the right direction in terms of creating value for the customer, and therefore it is here to stay. It is not just starting to arrive, it is here to stay.
Certainly, it's here, and I'll expand a little further on my previous comment about the commercials. Is what this has done over the past 18 months has given us the opportunity to really reevaluate everything we're doing on the tech side and process, and given us the ability to understand where we're going to get the best commercials. So if we're not getting the best commercials here, we're going to get it here. If we're not get it from that carrier, we're going to get it from this carrier, this GDS, and so on. So it's given us a lot more flexibility to address that. So moving forward, yes, NDC, Future, One World, so on, all those absolutely, in some form or another, will be participating and will be resilient.
I think it's part of the future. Because it's all about providing choices, and we are absolutely focused on making that happen for airlines to differentiate themselves. But the question is, how is it accepted by customers? When I go to Subway, for instance, when I'm starving and hungry, and get all those questions on what type of bread, how long, is it ham, is it cheese, is it salad, I'm saying to myself, I'm just hungry, I just want to eat something. So I think the beauty of good products is make it simple to understand, make it easy to book, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that it is totally successful. That's my take.
Okay.
I can relate personal to that, Tom. I think sometimes, but we are listening to our customers, and the good news is that we're using technology that is not proprietary only to an industry or to an airline. So we have a lot of digital players we talk to, we're plugged into, and for us, obviously it's a reality. So it's not science fiction or anything. It's the majority of our bookings by the end of the year. And now we need to move on. And the most important thing is we need to find the sweet spot for everybody in the value chain to contribute, because in the end it's a collaborative approach, and that has also might have taken the learnings, but since we've launched the NDC partner program, for that topic has been the case, and that's the way we see it moving forward. Because if it doesn't work for anybody of us, in the end it's not going to fly for all the other airlines who are still following.
So it's not going to be a little case where you invested 500 million in a system and then at the end ditched it before it's really fully developed.
No, but I mean, there's absolutely no reason to do so, right? So it works for us very well, and we see that we're really at the tipping point.
Sometimes I ask easy questions.
Yeah.
So I cannot improve what Johannes just said, just reinforcing the message. No, we need to come together. No, we need to share, we need to discuss, we need to work together. The boat has sailed, we're all in the same boat. No, so how fast or how slow it goes, it depends on us. No, but I think the North Star is there, the objective is clear, it's good, and then it goes back to what we said. It's customer first. If we all have that in mind, then things will work out. No, I think that's the real deal.
I have to tell you guys that I have been on numerous panels on NDC, more than I care to mention. But this is one of the best ones we've had. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you all 5 of you. Really great input.